Hello, and welcome to Hidden Archives. The title of my video today is A New People, A New Nation, Paine, Jefferson, and the American Identity. When the American colonies moved toward independence in 1776, their leaders faced a crucial question. Were the colonists still British, or had they become something entirely new? Two foundational texts, Thomas Paine's Common Sense and Thomas Jefferson's Declaration of Independence, answered that question with a resounding revolutionary message. Americans were a new people, and therefore must form a new nation. Thomas Paine's argument was that Americans had outgrown Britain. Paine, writing in January of 1776, was blunt, fiery, and provocative. His goal was to move ordinary Americans from frustration to full commitment to independence. He made his case in several ways. Firstly, he indicated that America's ethnic and cultural diversity proves Americans are no longer English. Paine declared that Europe, not England, is the parent country of America, pointing out that immigrants from Germany, Scotland, Ireland, and many other places had shaped the colonies. Therefore, since Americans were not mostly English anymore, their loyalty to the English crown made no sense. Secondly, he pointed out that America had developed its own society and character. Paine argued that the colonies' distance from Britain and unique circumstances had created a political culture built on equality and opportunity. Americans simply lived differently and more freely than Europeans. Therefore, as a people shaped by different experiences, they had naturally formed a different identity. Paine's third point was that the monarchy was incompatible with the American character. Here, Paine went on the offensive, criticizing hereditary monarchy as absurd, corrupt, and fundamentally un-American. A free people, he argued, cannot remain attached to an institution that contradicts their emerging values. In summary, for Paine, independence wasn't merely practical, it was inevitable, because Americans had already transformed into a distinct people. 6 months later, Jefferson offered a more philosophical, diplomatic version of Paine's claim. Where Paine used passion, Jefferson used principle. Jefferson first noted that Americans act as one people. The Declaration begins with the phrase, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands, etc., etc., etc. By carefully choosing the words one people, Jefferson asserted that the colonists already possessed the unity that defines a nation. Jefferson's second point was that Americans share universal values, universal principles that set them apart. Jefferson's famous Equality Clause, all men are created equal, identifies a core American creed rooted in natural rights. As a people united by a distinctive political philosophy, they already constituted a separate nation. Jefferson then identified the common grievances that proved a shared identity. The list of abuses against the colonies was presented as wrongs committed against the entire American people. By interpretation, then, suffering together, resisting together, and seeking liberty together forged the colonists into a single national community. In summary, Jefferson transformed a political break into a philosophical necessity. Because Americans hold shared principles and a shared history, they must exercise the rights of a nation. So, what set the writings of Paine and Jefferson apart? While Paine and Jefferson share the core idea of a distinct American people, they developed the argument differently. In terms of tone and audience, Paine wrote for ordinary colonists, using bold language and emotional appeals. Jefferson, on the other hand, wrote for the world, using formal logic and universal principles. In terms of identity, Paine grounded American identity in social realities, such as diversity, distance, and lived experience. Jefferson instead grounded American reality in political philosophy, using concepts such as natural rights, equality, and self-government. In terms of purpose, Paine's aim was to motivate action, to push hesitant colonists toward declaring independence. Jefferson aimed not so much to motivate action, but to justify it, explaining to Britain and the international community why independence was legitimate. As historian Pauline Maier noted in American Scripture, Making the Declaration of Independence, both men participated in a broad effort to articulate the emergence of a new people. But each did so in his own rhetorical register. Paine was the agitator, and Jefferson was the statesman. Together, their works expressed the birth of a national consciousness. In conclusion, Thomas Paine and Thomas Jefferson did more than argue for independence. They articulated the identity of a people who no longer saw themselves as dependent colonists, but as Americans. In different styles and with different tools, they both delivered the same message. A new people had emerged, and a new nation would follow. Thank you for watching.